Hi team, welcome to today's workout. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we get started, I will remind you, please make sure to check in once we are finished today. You can do that just below the video player here. As well, please make use of the stretching video that is also available to you. Flexibility really is just as important as the workout itself. All right, so today's workout, we're going to do 30-second supersets with a core focus. So how this is going to work is we're going to have our superset, which is 2 exercises that are going to work different parts of our bodies while the other rests. We're going to do each exercise for 30 seconds because everything is timed today. You have complete freedom of weight and reps. If you want to take things a little heavier and a little slower, completely up to you. Or you can do simply body weight for a lot of these things and take it at a bit of a faster pace. All right, completely up to you today. I will also show you how to do everything before we even do it. So let's get started. Number 1, we are going to do hip lifts, just regular hip lifts and regular crunches. Like I said, I'll show you these things and then we will get started. So we're going to lay down on the floor for both hip lifts. We're going to lay down on our backs, knees bent up towards the ceiling, just like this. With your feet about shoulder width apart, what we're going to do from here, we're just going to lift our hips up off the floor, squeezing our bums at the top. Before you lift, you kind of want to drop your pelvis down towards the floor so your lower back's touching the floor. From there, you're lifting, squeezing that bum at the top, up and down, just like that. From there, we are switching to regular crunches. So a regular crunch, again, just laying in this position here, you're going to put your fingers behind your ears, keeping your elbows nice and wide. You're just going to lift your shoulders up off the floor, squeezing that core at the top. So up, squeeze, back down, up, squeeze, back down. Like I said, you have complete freedom of weight and reps today. Do the movements, but do not feel like you need to keep up with me, all right? You have that freedom with today's workout. 10 seconds here, team. Once my clock rolls over here a bit, we will get started with our hip lifts. 30 seconds each, 3 rounds. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. So you're just going to lift, squeezing that bum at the top. If you want to make this a little tougher for yourself, you can rest a weight on your pelvis as you lift up and down. All right. But just remember, you're taking everything at your own pace today. And 10 seconds, we'll switch to our crunches. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, switching straight into those crunches, switching and starting as soon as you're able to. So just lifting those shoulders off the floor, squeezing that core at the top. Awesome work, team. Stay with me now. 10 seconds, then we'll move on to round 2, switching straight back to our hip lifts. And 3, 2, 1. All right, switching straight back into those hip lifts. Again, just starting as soon as you're able to. Lifting, squeezing that bum at the top. Awesome job, team. 10 seconds. Stay with me now. Again, switching back to our crunches once we're done here. 3, 2, 1. And switching and starting as soon as you're able to. And just lifting those shoulders off the floor, squeezing your core at the top. You want to keep your elbows nice and wide. That's going to stop you from collapsing your neck forward, possibly pulling on it, which we don't want. 10 seconds. Here we go. Switching into our third round, into our hip lifts. In 3, 2, 1. All right, final round. Again, just switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Lifting, squeezing that bum at the top. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. 10 seconds, we'll switch into our crunches. And then after that, we'll take a break. 3, 2, 1, and switch back to our crunches. Final 30 seconds of this superset. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. And 10 seconds. And 5, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Oh, all right. That's it for number 1 here, team. Let's take this quick break. We'll grab some water, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, team. Take a deep breath with me. Here we go. And in and out. All right. Moving on here, team. We are going to do hammer curls, so an upper body exercise for our first exercise of number 2. After that, we are going to do hammer curls. Sorry, guess it helps if I tell you what it is. We're going to do hammer curls, which is a variation of a bicep curl. Then we are going to do 45-degree crunches, which is a variation of the regular crunches we just did. I'll show you how to do these things, and then we will get started. So, hammer curls. You're going to need some sort of weights for this. That can be soup cans, water bottles, dumbbells, whatever you have handy. We're going to start feet shoulder width apart with a slight bend in our knees. From there, we're going to glue our elbows to our ribs. They're not going to move. We're just going to use that as a hinge point. With our palms facing each other, instead of up towards the sky, like you would with a bicep curl, palms are facing each other. We're just going to curl our weights all the way up, all the way down, just like this. Make sure you're getting all the way down. If you stop in the middle, you're only working part of the muscle, and we want to make sure you're working all of it, all right? After that, we are switching to 45-degree crunches. So we're back down on the floor. Regular crunch in the sense that your fingers are behind your ears, elbows are wide, but your knees, you're going to bring your knees up, bend like this with your toes pointed towards the wall. From there, it's that regular crunch, lifting, squeezing that core at the top, up and down, just like this. All right? So, 10 seconds here, team. We'll get started with our hammer curls. Grab your weights. Here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and go. So all the way up, all the way back down. Using those elbows as a hinge point. Always keeping a slight bend in your knees whenever you're working with arm weights, all right? And 10 seconds, we're going to switch to our 45-degree crunch. Switching and starting as soon as you can, no rush, all right? 3, 2, 1. All right, switching to that 45-degree crunch. Like I said, switching and starting as soon as you're able to. There's really no rush. And everything today is at your own pace. Don't feel like you need to keep up with me. All right, 5 seconds rather. We're going to switch to our hammer curls. 2, 1, and switch. All right, back up. Again, just switching and starting as soon as you can. Keeping those elbows glued to your ribs, curling that weight all the way up and down. Good, 10 seconds here, team. Almost done. 3, 2, 1. All right, back to our 45-degree crunch. Switching and starting when you can. Lifting, squeezing that core at the top. Ten seconds here, team. Then we'll switch to our final round. And 3, 2, 1, and switch. Whew. All right, final round, final minute. Here we go. Just switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. All right, 3, 2, 1, and switch. All right, final 45-degree crunch. Then we will take a break. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. All right, 15 seconds. And 3, 2, 1, and rest. Oh. All right, awesome job, team. Let's take this quick break. We'll grab some water, and then we'll move on to the next one. Whew. All right, team, take a deep breath with me. Here we go, and in, and out. All right, moving on here, team. We are back down to our lower bodies for our first exercise. We're going to do something called a calf raise squat. After that, for our core, we're going to do something called bird dogs. I'll show you how to do these things, and then we will get started. So, a calf raise squat, and really think about taking this at your own pace today. This one can be a little bit more on the moderate side rather than a beginner side, all right? So, also, if you feel the need to kind of hold on to something for balance, feel free to use that. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna start in a really nice wide stance with our toes pointed out at a dramatic angle, around 45 degrees, so fairly far out with your feet. From there, we're gonna lower ourselves down into a lowered squat position just like this. From here, very gently, we're just going to lift ourselves up onto our toes, up and down just like this. All right, nice controlled movement up and down. I don't want you slamming your feet down towards the floor if you can help it, all right? Also, the difficulty of these is all dependent on how far down you are into that squat, all right? The lower you are, the tougher those are going to be. So that's our first one. After that, we are switching to bird dog. So a bird dog, we're gonna get down on our hands and knees just like this, hands and knees stacked under our shoulders and our hips. From here, we're gonna squeeze our cores nice and tight, drawing our belly buttons back towards our spine just a tiny bit. From here, we're gonna lift our opposite appendages up to about hip height, just like so, lowering back down to the floor. All right, I want you to think of this as an outward motion, not an upward motion, all right? That's when balance can get a little iffy, all right? So just thinking of it as an outward motion, keeping that core squeezed nice and tight the whole time. If you do find your balance is still a little bit off, widen your stance of your hands and your knees before you lift, and that will give you more balance, more stability, okay? All right, 10 seconds here, team. We're gonna start with our calf raise squat. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and down. Let's go. So remember, just up onto those toes, lowering yourself back down to the floor, nice and gentle. Excellent work. Stay with me now. 10 more seconds. We'll switch to our bird dogs. And 3, 2, 1. All right, back into our bird dogs. Switching into those, switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Keep that core squeezed nice and tight, drawing that belly button back towards your spine just a little bit. And thinking of it as an outward motion, not an upward motion. All right, 5 seconds, we'll switch back. 3, 2, 1. All right, switching back to that calf raise squat. And again, just switching and starting when you are able to. Awesome job, team. Keep going. Keep lifting. Nice work. All right, 10 seconds. We'll switch back to our bird dogs. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and switch. All right, back into our bird dogs. Again, just switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Excellent job, team. Stay with me now. All right, 5 seconds. And 2, 1, and switch. All right, final round, final minute of both of these. Whew. And remember, the lower you get into that calf raise squat, the tougher they're going to be, all right? Just gently up onto your toes, lowering yourself back down to your heels. All right, 5 seconds. Stay with me now. 3, 2, 1. All right, bird dog, switching to those. Final 30 seconds, and then we will take a break. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. Almost done. Got about 10 seconds left. All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1, and rest. Whew. All right, awesome job, team. Let's take this quick break. We'll grab some water, and then we'll move on to the next one. Whew. All right, team, take a deep breath with me. Here we go, and in, and out. All right, moving on here, team. Next one, we are starting again with that upper body exercise. We are going to do something called a side delt raise. So if you have the means to kind of grab a weight for this that's a little lighter than what you use for your hammer curls, please do that. If you kind of have the same thing, I recommend you take them just a tiny little bit slower, all right? After that, we are switching to hip rotations. I'll show you both of these things, and then we will get started. So, side delt raise. We're going to start, again, feet shoulder width apart, slight bend in our knees. This is a very important stance whenever you're working with arm weights. From here, we're going to drop our shoulder blades down nice and low onto our backs. To do that, you can just kind of round your shoulders back, holding your shoulder blades down. What we're going to do from there, weights at our sides, arms straight without locking our elbows. We're just going to lift our weights straight out to the side into a T shape, just like so. All right, up and down, just like that. After that, we are switching to hip rotations. So hip rotations, we're going to get back down on the floor. I like to keep my arms out in a T shape. I find that helps with stability. But what we're going to do is knees bent up towards the ceiling. We're just going to drop our knees side to side, just like this. All right, back and forth. The difficulty of these is all dependent on how high up your feet are. If your feet are up here, this is going to be more difficult than if your heels are on the floor. Feet way up in the air, I don't even think I can do this, is going to be a lot tougher than if you're at half, than if you're on the floor. All right? So less than 10 seconds here, team. We'll get started with our side delt raise. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, and go. So you want to keep those shoulder blades down nice and low on your back, just so we don't shrug up into our necks, which can cause neck strain and pain, which we do not want. So arms nice and straight, don't lock those elbows. 5 seconds, we'll switch to our hip rotations. 3, 2, 1. All right, switching to those hip rotations, switching and starting when you are able to. And remember, with these hip rotations, the difficulty is all dependent on how high up your feet are. All right. 10 seconds. And 3, 2, 1, and switch. All right, back to those side delt raise. Again, just switching and starting when you're able to. Shoulder blades down nice and low on your back. Good, 10 seconds. And then we will switch to our hip rotations. 3, 2, 1. All right, hip rotations. Switching to those, starting when we can. Awesome job, team. Stay with me now. 10 seconds. Switching into our final round here. 3, 2, 1. All right, switching into that final round. Switching and starting as soon as you're able to. All right, 10 seconds. Switching back to our final hip rotations. 3, 2, 1. All right, final hip rotations. And then we will take a break. Excellent job today, team. Keep going. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, excellent job, team. Let's take this quick break. We'll grab some water, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, team, take a deep breath with me. Here we go, and in, and out. All right, moving on here, team, back down to our lower bodies for our first exercise. We are going to do just a simple squat hold. So basically getting into our squat position, we're going to lower ourselves down. We're going to hold ourselves there for 30 seconds. Then we are switching to something called a V-sit hold. And again, this is another hold that we will do for our second piece of our 30-second superset. All right, I will show you these things and then we will get started. So, squat, hold. Like I said, we're just going to do a regular squat. So, your feet are going to be around shoulder width apart, toes pointed out at a little bit of an angle. From there, we're going to hinge at our knees and our waist, keeping our weight in our heels. We're just going to squat down and we're just going to stay there, holding it, thinking about that weight in our heels for 30 seconds. All right. After that, we are switching to a V-sit hold. So, V-sit hold, we're going to get down, we're going to sit on our bums, knees bent up towards the ceiling, just like this. From here, we are going to sit back until our body forms a V shape, just like this. Keeping in mind with the V-sit hold, the difficulty is all dependent on how far back you're sitting and how high up your feet are, all right? So to make this easier for yourself, sit your heels on the floor, sit up a little farther, your core should be squeezed nice and tight. Again, just drawing that belly button in back towards our spine, just a little bit, and we're just gonna hold that for 30 seconds, all right? So 10 seconds here, team. We'll get started with our squat hold. First round, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, and go. So just down into that squat. Feeling that weight in your heels. Trying your best to also keep, you're not leaning on your legs, all right? That's cheating. So try your best to just stay on your feet. If you do need to give yourself a little bit of a break, get back into it, that's completely fine, all right? 5 seconds, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, V-sit hold, switching into that, switching and starting as soon as you're able to. And remember, the difficulty of these, all dependent on how far back you're sitting and how high up your feet are, all right? Keep that core squeezed nice and tight. Draw that belly button in towards your spine just a little bit. Five seconds, we'll switch back. And 2, 1, and switch. All right. right, switching back to our squat hold, switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Awesome job, team. Keep holding, thinking about that weight in those heels as we're in this position. And 3, 2, 1. All right, back to that V-sit hold. Awesome job. Ooh. Keeping that core squeezed nice and tight. All right, 10 seconds here, team. Then we will switch to our final minute, and then that's it for the day. All right, 3, 2, 1, and switch. All right, final minute here, team. Switching and starting as soon as you're able to. Good, 5 seconds. Oh my gosh, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, final V-sit hold. Whew. All right, getting into that, just switching and starting as soon as you're able to. I'll drop my feet down just a bit, give myself a little bit of a break here, 10 seconds. Almost done here, team. Stay with me now. 3, 2, 1, and rest. Oh, all right, that is it, team. We are done for the day. Thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate you being here. Now that we are finished, please remember to check in. You can do that just below the video player here as well. If you feel comfortable with it, I would love to see your sweaty selfie on social media. You can tag me on both Facebook and Instagram at M12 Fitness Liz. All right? Thanks again so much, team, and I will see you next time.